Hello, BookTube. I've got a little mail for you today. It's a fairly lovely Friday, but freezing cold and with howling, screaming winds. I'm assuming that all of this weather is a prelude to something much better. I'm assuming it's a prelude to spring. But it doesn't feel it today. But packages still arrived. No periodicals of any kind so far. But three book packages that might be of interest to you. So let's take a look at them and see what we have. They might also, less possibly, be of interest to me. Okay, this first one is a novel. What have we got here? This is a novel that came out on April the 26th. It has an absolute phone book of stuff, of responses to this book by various critics, or this author by various critics. This is going to be a paperback original. It's by Camille Laurens, and it's translated by Adriana Hunter, and it's called Girl, with a safety pin on the cover. What we got here? In this incisive, intimate examination of the pleasures and pitfalls of womanhood, the author turns a keen eye to society's deeply entrenched mechanisms of misogyny and how they operate on personal and sociocultural levels. Perfect for fans of Mieko Kawakami's Breast and Eggs. Thanks very much for the warning. But I could probably guess that already. And Lenny Zumas's Red Clocks. Yep. Oh, yeah. Okay. This book is a bold, timely exploration of the psychological excesses of femininity and the evolution of feminism through the decades. This book, about which I'd never heard a word before today, and from which I've not read a word, has literally nothing to do with feminism. Nothing. Growing up in the 1960s and 1970s in France, Laurence Barré... Okay, so is this... Oh, it's pretty much you. The main character learns from an early age that to be a girl means to be both invisible and too visible, subjugated at all turns by the male gaze. Okay, all right. So 1960s, 1970s France, but an alternate universe. Unless the story stops there. If the story moves into the 21st century, where everyone's boss is a woman, then probably not quite so much. To her father, who wished for sons and instead ended up with two daughters, she is a disappointment. In contrast, boys at school and on summer vacation, or worse, a lascivious relative, view her as an object of desire. Okay, the description goes on for another paragraph, but I'm not allowed to review this book. I will read it because it was sent to me, and I'm curious to know. Literature and translation is always interesting to me. But what review could I possibly do? The first thing that, if I said this is inept, boring navel-gazing, I would immediately be discounted, right? Because of my gender. Your kind need not apply here. So there's no, it's literally not, we're having two separate discussions. Actually, not two, but 20 separate discussions. And if you're not part of the tribe, the accepted tribe in that discussion, you're not allowed to critique anything that comes from it at all. So is this a good book? No one who buys it and reads it for a $17 paperback is going to care whether or not it's a good book. And none of the critics who call it good can be trusted. So I don't know if it's any good. I'll find out, but I'll never write about it, and that feels a little bit unfortunate to me. Let's see if we can do any better with the next one. Or is the next one also a Twitter tirade? Oh my God. Okay, so we have this is the second one. Is a novel. It's also a novel. It's by Bud Smith, and instead of the broad sweeping category of girl, we now have the broad sweeping category of teenager. Let's see what we have here. At least I am not, as far as I know, completely excluded from this category, having once been a teenager. Let's see here. Cody Raleigh Green is stuck in juvie. Tella Teal Cartwheels Carticelli is packing her bags for Rome, on the orders of her parents, who want her as far from Cody as possible. But teenage love is too strong a force for the obstacles of reality, and the highway beckons. Leaving their abusive past behind them in Jersey, Cody and Teal set off on a cross-country road trip, equal parts self-destruction and self-discovery, making their way one stolen car at a time toward bigger, wider, bluer skies. Along the road, of course, there's time to stop at Graceland, classic diners, a fairgrounds that smells of pony poop and kettle corn, a time for run-ins with outsized personalities like the reincarnated Grand Canyon tour guide Dead Bob and the spurious Montana rancher Bill Gold. On their heels, all the while, is Teal's brother, Neil Carticelli, who's abandoned his post in the Navy to rescue the sister he left behind. But does she need saving? She needs saving from the law, since she and her boyfriend, I'm assuming that Cody is a boy, I could be wrong, but she and Cody are breaking the law if they're stealing cars. And down with the patriarchy notwithstanding, what if one of those cars is a single mother who needs it desperately to get to work and is going to be fired and is the only source of income for her children and her dependent mother? It's not a stupid little thing. It's not a tiny little detail. Yeah, we're on a road adventure and it's totally dependent on the stealing cars. But we're going to meet a dead tour guide and a spurious Montana rancher, and we'll be pursued by one of the characters' brothers, but not by the law. Come on, please. ACAB, right? These all too American tropes, no tropes have been mentioned, find new expression in Bud Smith's own freewheeling prose and in Bud's wife Ray Bouleri's remarkable original illustrations, filling teenager with humor, poetry, and a joy that's palpable in every unforgettable sentence. Okay, they've got crimes to answer for, regardless of what happens with the brother or with true love, or what I'm assuming is an unbelievable amount of drug consumption. No matter what happens with that, they've got the law to answer for. They've broken the law in multiple states. Who is Bud Smith when he's at home? Works heavy construction and lives in Jersey City. His fiction has been published in the Parish Review, The Believer, The Baffler, and Nervous Breakdown, and many others. He is also a creative writing teacher and editor. Okay. Shall we? This is the requisite hideous American cover. What shall we sample? shall we sample just a bit of this? First chapter is called Zero, and it is actually illustrated. We're getting illustrations. That is unusual. That doesn't usually happen. Yeah, this has at least spotted illustrations starting every chapter. An envelope fell through the slot. The guard called his name. Oh, sorry, Cody is a he. Me, Cody stood from the table. The chair fell over. You got something, Green. The guard held the envelope up to the fluorescent light and squinted. Full of poison or hand grenades or what? Does it say Tella Carticelli? Cody had sent her love letter after love letter, testaments of his devotion. One a day, counting down the time till he was released from juvie and they could figure out their future together. She was pregnant with his baby. He'd suggested thousands of names. No sender. That's the guard telling him there's no sender on the envelope. The guard took his pocket knife out and slit the envelope. He carefully shook a slip of paper onto his desk. Cody walked over and held out his hand. To his surprise, the man actually passed it over to him without making a scene, without reading aloud all the gooey details his girlfriend had finally put into longhand. But the letter was from his effing father. Paragraph 3, page 2, unnecessary forced cursing. Cody, Tella is leaving. You'll never see her again. Move on. She's not worth it. I have a gun now. The law will be on my side. Have a blessed day. Arturo Carticelli. So that's the letter that he gets. He gets a letter from his girlfriend's father telling him the worst, that he's never going to see her again. That's pretty involving. That's pretty involving. Okay, well, what do we have here? Did we already get the time here? Okay, so this is also going to be a paperback original, just like Girl. This is going to be a $17 paperback, and it is coming out on the 10th, May 10th. So we have. Okay, let me put this in here. I don't want to lose this. This comes out on May the 10th as a paperback original. Gotta like that these things are coming out as paperback originals. They're not going to cost you an arm and a leg if you want to buy them. That's really good. And now we have the third and final package, which, what's it going to be? Grandmother? Horse? Dragonfly? Is it going to be another category as a title? Let's see. Well, it kind of is. Yes, okay, well, it kind of is. Is this an April? No, this is a May 3rd. This is a May finished copy, which I'm now going to, graduate into wanting to fill out the May shelf. I have to change the whole shelf sometime this weekend. I don't want to. I do want to do it, but I don't want to do it alone. I'd like to have other book people here. It'd be great. Today is Friday. In a fantasy world where I could snap my fingers and make it so, I would invite 5 of you over here tonight, and we would have wine and just a river of wine and a mountain of calzones, and we would rearrange the books together, because I have to take off all of the April stuff, find homes for it, deal with it somehow, including making a small stack of April books I still want to write about, and then move up all of the books. Every month is a shelf, so if they all have to be moved up, and when all the moving up is done and the May books are all on that top shelf, then the May books have to be organized. What things on this shelf I am certainly not going to write about under any circumstances. We can just remove them. What things are doubles? What things are already bespoken, or what things are already commissioned? All that sort of stuff, and then break it down by week of release, and put slips in any books that don't have the release date on them. That's a lot more fun to do with other book people than to do alone. But anyway, this book is by Will Jawando, and it's called My 7 Black Fathers, a young activist memoir of race, family, and the mentors who made him whole. And that, I assume, is our author. So what have we got here? Huge list of events that he's doing, but do we have anything about the book? Okay, here we go. As a boy growing up outside D.C., the author, who went by his Nigerian name Yemi, was shunted from school to school, never quite fitting in. He was a black kid with a divorced white mother. His relationship with his biological father was frayed, and his teachers chastised him for being disruptive in class and on the playground. Eventually, he became close to Kalfani, a kid he met on the basketball court with a whole lot of promise. Years after he got the call telling him that Kalfani was dead, a casualty of street violence, Will looks back on what saved him from a similar fate. In this book, Will traces his survival to an extraordinary series of mentors, drawing on his deeply moving story of involvement in My Brother's Keeper, President Obama's national initiative to address persistent opportunity gaps facing boys and young men of color. This book explores the remarkable impact that black men can have on the rising generation. Interesting. Okay, that took a turn I wasn't expecting. Interesting. So this will be part memoir and maybe part call to action, I would guess. It sounds like. The author is an activist, and they never stop. Activists never stop activating. It's one of the things that makes them charming. So I would imagine there's a lot of that in here, and I'm up for it, absolutely. I'm poorly remembering a book that did something very similar to this about the all-important role of black father figures and mentors in the black youth community, which is often sorely lacking them and needs them. I'm remembering a book like that, and I don't remember the title. I think the author was also a TV actor. Isn't that terrible? I vaguely remember it, but I remember liking it. But then again, any book that zeroes in on that need, the need of young men for structure that is not punitive or condescending. They need the structure. The condescension will warp and sour them in ways that take forever to fix, if they ever do get fixed. So who is Will Jawando? That is the author on the cover there. He's an attorney, an activist, a community leader, and a council member in Montgomery County, Maryland, a diverse community of more than 1 million residents. Called The Progressive Leader We Need by the late Congressman John Lewis, Jawando has worked with Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senator Sherrod Brown, and President Barack Obama. His writing has appeared in the Washington Post and The Root, and on BET.com, and his work has been featured in the New York Times and New York Magazine, and on NPR, NBC News, MTV. Good Lord. Okay, so this guy's a star. He's a star. I don't think I've ever heard his name. This is coming up right away, so this has to go on the docket tonight. This is May the 3rd. May the 3rd is Tuesday, so there you go, My 7 Black Fathers. So this was a very hot-button type of mail haul. We have a little nonfiction, My 7 Black Fathers. I have to admit, this is the one that appeals to me the most. Then we have Teenager by Bud Smith, which, did we give a date on this? This is May. This comes out just a week after My 7 Black Fathers. And then Girl, new work in translation that pretty much excludes me by name. I mean, it almost says, Steve can't read this. So, so maybe it's of interest to some of you, especially I know that a few of you really like French literature of any kind and want more of it translated into English. Well, here you go. So there you go. A very cosy mail haul with the bean looking despondent in the background. Oh, baby. She's not as despondent as she looks, I promise. We had a wonderful afternoon, walkie poo. But anyway, and we're going to have another one, too. Maybe she's despondent because I'm talking to people she can't see instead of doing that other one. But I need time to recover between long walks. But anyway, that's the mail for today. I will wrap this up and we will see what we get tomorrow. Thank you, BookTube.